What if the world's most hotly contested land held secrets written thousands of years ago, prophecies etched in ancient texts that are unfolding before our eyes? What if a forgotten truth buried beneath centuries of conflict and controversy is now rising from the dust of history? From the rolling hills of Judea to the rugged highlands of Samaria, a divine storyline is being revealed, one that empires have tried to silence, but prophecy refuses to forget. This is not just a story of land. This is the prophetic truth about Judea and Samaria.
This is the truth about Judea and Samaria, Israel's disputed heartland. In the rolling hills and rugged valleys of this ancient land, the echoes of prophecy, history, and controversy converge. It is here, in the heart of what the world now knows as the West Bank, that the biblical regions of Judea and Samaria reside, territories that have stirred the soul of a people for millennia and sparked a global debate in modern times. The prophetic truth of this land begins in the sacred scriptures of the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. There, it was foretold that the Messiah would emerge not from the center of worldly power, but from the humble Judean town of Bethlehem. As for you, Bethlehem of Ephrathah, even though you remain least among the clans of Judah, nevertheless, the one who rules in Israel for me will emerge from you. His existence has been from antiquity, even from eternity. Micah 5:2. And so it was in the days of King Herod that prophecy was fulfilled. After Yeshua had been born in Bethlehem of Judea, during the reign of King Herod, wise men arrived in Jerusalem from the east. Matthew 2:1. But the sacred bond between the people of Israel and this land did not begin in Bethlehem. It began earlier still, when God first appeared to Abraham in a place called Shechem, modern-day Nablus, in the region known as Samaria. There, a divine promise was made. To your offspring, I will give this land. Genesis 12:7. Later, God would command Abraham again, go, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I am giving it to you. Genesis 13:17-18. And so Abraham dwelled among the great trees of Mamre, near Hebron. There he pitched his tents, and there he built an altar to the Lord, a physical testament to a spiritual covenant. Throughout the ages, Judea and Samaria would remain etched into the identity of the Jewish people. Jerusalem, Judea's capital, was revered for its splendor, and the holy temple that once stood upon its mount was the jewel of ancient architecture and faith. The Talmud, that treasured compendium of rabbinic thought, reflects on this with awe. He who has not seen Jerusalem in its beauty has not seen a beautiful great city in his whole life, and who has not seen the building of the second temple has not seen a handsome building in his life. Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Sukkah, chapter 5. These words, written nearly 2,000 years ago, preserve the grandeur of a city and a temple that once united a nation in worship and wonder. But today, that legacy stands at the center of a struggle. In an era where narratives are contested and history is being rewritten, Islamic fundamentalism, bolstered by political agendas and global platforms, seeks to erase the deep, ancient ties that connect the Jewish people to their homeland. Yet the stones still speak. The soil still remembers. The truth endures, not just in prophecy or in scripture, but in the very land itself. This is Judea and Samaria, disputed by men, but declared by God.
Once more, a remnant of the kingdom of Judah will take root below and bear fruit above. Isaiah 37:31. This is more than ancient poetry. It's unfolding today. In the hills and valleys of the Middle East, a prophetic return is underway. As Israel's historic claims are challenged, the land itself responds. Denial of the Holy Temple's connection to the Jewish people often accompanies efforts to sever Jewish ties to Judea and Samaria. But the reality tells another story. Since the Six-Day War of 1967, Jewish settlement has steadily grown. Today, nearly 500,000 Israelis, religious and secular, live in Judea, Samaria, and eastern Jerusalem. This is not just political or demographic, it's prophetic. Jeremiah foretold, "I will bring my people Israel and Judah back from captivity and restore them to the land I gave their ancestors." That promise echoes in every home, birth, and returning community. Jewish population growth in Judea and Samaria, driven by Orthodox Haredi birth rates, is nearly double that of the rest of Israel. David Haiviri, former head of the Shomron Liaison Office, speaks of the region's beauty and climate, but more deeply, of a divine process. The prophets promised the children of Israel would return to these mountains and rebuild. And that's what's happening. "I will bring Judah and Israel back from captivity and will rebuild them as they were before." Jeremiah 33:7. Why call it the West Bank? That name arose only 75 years ago to describe land west of the Jordan River. In contrast, Judea and Samaria are ancient biblical names, corresponding to the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, lands of Manasseh, Ephraim, Benjamin, and Judah. After Solomon's death, the kingdom split. 10 tribes formed the northern kingdom, later Samaria, while Judah remained in the south. Samaria retained its name even into the British Mandate period. Today, the revival of Judea and Samaria is more than a political movement. It's a tangible sign of ancient words coming to life. As history, prophecy, and present reality converge, one truth remains clear. The land remembers its people, and now its people are returning home.
Before empires rose and fell, before Jerusalem captured the world's soul, there was Hebron, a city carved into the hills of Judea, older than history, holier than legend, the heartbeat of Israel's ancient past, and perhaps its prophetic future. Hebron is not just a city, it is the cradle of a covenant. It was here that Abraham, the father of nations, first pitched his tent in the Promised Land. Here, he bought a field, not for conquest, but for love. A burial place for Sarah, the cave of Machpelah. That cave became eternity's doorway. Today, it shelters the remains of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, and Leah, the matriarchs and patriarchs of a people who have never truly left. Long before Jerusalem wore the crown, Hebron was king. It was in Hebron that a young David was anointed, where he ruled for 7 years before ascending to Jerusalem's throne. Hebron was the first capital of Israel's destiny. And even as the tides of empire swept the land, Roman, Byzantine, Muslim, Ottoman, Jewish life in Hebron endured, stubborn as stone. But in 1929, darkness fell. A brutal pogrom erupted. 67 Jews, fathers, mothers, scholars were massacred, homes ransacked, families shattered. For the first time in centuries, Hebron's Jewish voice fell silent. But silence was never meant to be the final word. In 1967, after the Six-Day War, they came back. The sons and daughters of Abraham returned, walking the same streets, praying in the same hills, rebuilding what hate had tried to erase. Today, over 8,000 Jews live beside Hebron in Kiryat Arba, named after Arba, the giant of old. What stands there now is more than a city. It is living prophecy. And yet, Hebron, like the rest of Judea and Samaria, remains entangled in international dispute. In the wake of 1967, the United Nations passed Resolution 242, demanding Israeli withdrawal from what it called occupied territories. This opened the gates to the Oslo Accords, and with them, the handover of biblical strongholds: Bethlehem, Jericho, Shechem, Ramallah, even Hebron. to the Palestinian Authority. To this day, Jewish communities in these ancestral lands are branded as illegal, despite centuries of presence and property purchased long before modern wars. And still, the world calls for more concessions. It happened in Gaza. Israel withdrew, and what followed was not peace, but a storm of rockets. Now they say, give up Judea, give up Samaria, give up Hebron. But this land is not a bargaining chip. It is a birthright. The Jewish people have walked these hills for over 3,000 years, not as occupiers, but as heirs. Their return is not politics. It is promise fulfilled. As it is written in Genesis 35:12, "The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you." And the prophets say, the story is not over. Zechariah 14 speaks of a day yet to come. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations, and on that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. So remember this: Hebron is not just a place on the map. It is the soul of a people, the root of a promise, the beginning of a story that will end in glory. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, but do not forget Hebron, the city of the patriarchs, the heart of prophecy, and the flame that still burns. The United Nations Security Council Resolution 242, adopted in November 1967 after the Six-Day War, calls for the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the occupied territories of Judea and Samaria. In May 1968, Israel accepted the resolution when the Israeli ambassador told the UN Security Council that the government had indicated its acceptance of the resolution for the promotion of agreement on the establishment of a just and lasting peace. This resolution paved the way for the Oslo Accords of 1993 and 1995, a series of agreements that transferred land to the Palestinian Arabs. Following the Oslo Accords of 1993, many urban centers in Judea and Samaria came under the administrative control of the Palestinian Authority. These included Jenin, where the IDF withdrawal in 2005 forced the dismantlement of several Jewish settlements, as well as Bethlehem, Jericho, Shechem, Ramallah, and Hebron. The UN has called for other major settlement areas to be abandoned. These include the city of Ariel, which is located 10 miles east of the pre-1967 border, Modi'in, a Jerusalem suburb of over 80,000 people, and Gush Etzion, a cluster of Israeli settlements in the Judean mountains, directly south of Jerusalem and Bethlehem. When Israel totally withdrew from Gaza in 2005, Hamas turned the coastal strip into a rocket launch site against Israel. The same would likely happen if Israel fully withdrew from Judea and Samaria today. Yet the world continues to pressure Israel to return to the Palestinians, the land that Jordan controlled before the Six-Day War in 1967, including the eastern half of Jerusalem. The international community continues to consider all neighborhoods in Judea and Samaria illegal and destined to be included in a future Palestinian state, even those that are now part of Jerusalem, such as Shiloh in southwestern East Jerusalem. Much of Shiloh's land was legally purchased by the Jewish people before World War II. That land was never relinquished, but the UN still considers Jewish settlement there illegal. The truth is that the Jewish people have lived in the Holy Land for over 3,000 years, and the restoration of the nation of Israel and the return of Jewish exiles is seen as the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The vast majority of Arabs who identify as Palestinians arrived as part of a large wave of migration from Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, and other Muslim countries during the 19th and 20th centuries. While the world refers to Judea and Samaria as the West Bank, and to Jewish communities there as settlements. This land was promised by God to Abraham through Isaac and Jacob. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I also give to you, and I will give this land to your descendants after you. This is also the land where Yeshua is prophesied to return. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day, his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem, and the Mount of Olives shall be split in two from east to west by a wide valley, with half of the mountain moving northward and the other half southward. In this ancient land, where history, faith, and prophecy intertwine, the story of a people's enduring connection to their homeland continues to unfold, a testament to resilience, hope, and the unbreakable bond between past and future.